Hello, I'm back. This is a castle we're in. Don't hate the play, hate the game. You guys are jealous. You guys are like I can tell. You're really wondering where I'm at. This is a castle. It's like the cellar. It's the dungeon basically. We're humble here. We're not just gonna broadcast and show all the glitz and all the glamour. It's not how it works. It's not how. But today we're in the cellar. We're in the castle cellar. You know, I don't know if this is a playable thing in like Clue or something. I can't remember. So I don't know. Maybe it was the what's the old? It was the butler with the candlestick in the cellar, right? Yeah. So what are we discussing today? Because we can't just talk about the cellar. We have to discuss something of relevance. Maybe one day we'll give a full, we'll talk about the whole ordeal. Go into real great detail with the audience. I know that's what people want to see. The 5 people watching this are tuning. Oh, we suck. I really do suck. In case you needed a refresher why we don't have a big audience, this is it. Oh, did the bell curve predict Uyghur Muslims being put in internment camps in China? Yeah. Oh, maybe it's like the Chinese that are responsible for like Xi Jinping. Maybe he's on like the opposite side of the bell curve. Maybe they kind of in a weird way snipe that, right? Yeah, I mean, look, what chapter of the bell curve is this in? What chapters, the homogeneous 105 IQ China putting Uyghurs in internment camps and loading them onto like trains and shit. Like what chapter of the bell curve is that? I'm trying to kind of just I don't think I'll be able to find. I don't think I'll be able to find that prediction on don't think I'll be able to find that uh the prediction bell curve. The bell curve. It's just like, could you imagine as they're heading on to like the like it's funny too, like that's something you could totally see them doing, right? Like they're just like giving copies of the bell curve out. Here we go, and they're like as they're like headed into like the internment camp. Like, here's your reading today. You can hear how like the Han Chinese people have an on average IQ of 105. And a high IQ leads towards higher levels of empathy. You see, that's a good thing because lower IQ leads to lower levels of empathy. So just like be happy that you're in a. It's like taking them through like videos of like, do you see all these blacks in Chicago? It's like FBI crime data. It's like, in the United States of America, blacks are 13% of America's population. They commit 52% of all homicides. Do you know the number of homicides by Chinese Americans are committed by? So you should feel relatively safe. You're not being put in an internment camp. This is just... We're not about to like execute you or send you through to like the gas chamber. No. It's like they're like giving like whenever like American like one they'll always have like the World Health or one of these organizations that goes there or something, and they're just like see. They should like allow in like some American like authorities and just like give them the bell curve. Just give them like Steve. Right? Yeah, they're just. Yeah, but those Uyghurs should feel perfectly safe, right? they're not being like gunned down or murdered ever. I mean, China didn't let any blacks in, right? There's no they're allowed to relax, right? It's not it's homogenous, right? I mean, they don't have that ethnic diversity that causes conflict, right? So Uyghurs should be perfectly fine, right? China didn't allow third world immigration in, right? They've preserved their culture. So Uyghurs should feel perfectly safe, right? I mean, it's no big deal headed in the internment camp. It's like, welcome to the first class of re-education, titled Social Cohesion. Could you imagine? Because I think some like Uyghurs have like escaped or something, or like fled, and I think have come into like fucking Sweden or something. And could you imagine like one of them being like murdered by like an African like migrant or something, and like considers it like, see, you're safer in homogeneous China. No, see, and it's like, is China safer for Uyghur Muslims than Africans? Soros. Like, that's totally what they do. Like, that's totally, you can completely see that, right? Like, they did it for, like, fucking, like, the Russian invasion of Ukraine. They're trying to argue, like, nationalists and, like, racialists are trying to argue, like, fucking, like, that ethnic Ukrainians are safer in fucking Russia, or not Russia, the Ukraine, than they are in, like, Minnesota, because like you may run into like a couple of Somali like it's so dumb. It's so fucking dumb. This is how they switch the goalposts when they get caught, right? First it's like, well, you see, like, this is only what like on average low IQ races, like this is only what like the third world does. Europe and like whites and Southeast Asians only genetically form peaceful societies. And then when that turns out to be like a load of bullshit, it's just like, oh well, see, but the third world is more like violent. Like, what's safer Dallas or the Ukraine? And it's like, shut the fuck up. Like, the fact that you're even saying this shows you're full of shit. Like, you're just switching the goalposts. Like, now it's like Ukraine went from being like this completely homogenous, safe, peaceful, to now it's like, okay, it's like turned into a shithole because of like, Vladimir Putin and European like nationalists killing each other. But it's not as violent as Chicago, right? It's like, ugh, these people are like the worst. Like, they can't like fucking like, China is gonna invade Taiwan, and like the Taiwanese are gonna be like, yeah, but you didn't let in third world immigrants, you didn't let in Africans, right? And it's like, ugh, you guys are such like, you fucking like dipshits. It's funny how like Japan and like China are looked at as different, right? Like, Japan, they both have the same like demographics. They both have the same like IQs according to these people are at 103 or 105 or something. And yet, like, China is like perfect because, like, see, it's like safe and the streets are clean and that kind of thing, and it's because they didn't let in a bunch of like Africans or something. But then like China also gets embraced somehow, but for different reasons, right? It's like, well, you see, do you really hate China? But you see, China wouldn't allow George Floyd riots to take place. Or like implying there's this like fucking dictatorship that'll just like assassinate people left, right, and fucking center, And it's like, it is. I'm not saying it's not. China is. but it's like, like, and they're both trying to argue for like race and culture, but in weirdly different ways. It's like, what? I don't see statues of China being torn down. It's like they have a police state. Like, it's even worse. Like, the police state there is even worse than fucking the one in America. Like, Elon Musk would have never been able to take over, like, Twitter in China. Oh my god. He would have been, like, obliterated. Like, he would have been obliterated, right? Like, so no, like, the idea that, like, China's, like, isn't worse is insane. It's, like, so weird, right? It's, like... It's, like, if China's so fucking great, then, like, why don't you go live there, right? Like, it's... But it's... And these are the same people that, like, criticized communism and socialism, right? It's like we don't want to let in third world immigration because we don't want to become a socialist, communist country. But also, we should embrace socialism and communism so that we can keep those darn pesky, blacks down or something. It's just like this weird, like, double, like... But yeah, I mean, and it's funny too because, like, the Steve Sailors of the world are going to argue. I can totally see this coming. I think I've even seen people like this argue this too. Like, the rise of China proves that, like, IQ is real, right? Because it's like, well, how did they rise so fast? And how did they become an empire? And see, it's because they have an on average IQ of 105. And it's like, you're arguing that while they're invading countries and they're massacring, because it's going to lead towards, like, mass murder, right? It's just these things too. Wars are not peaceful. Like, and I guess it depends if they, like, how they view, like, their empire and that kind of thing. But if they don't want, like, a racial, multi-ethnic, they may start just, like, gunning down, like, Taiwanese people. They may start just, like, obliterating the Japanese. And yet, and it shows, like, just because you have a high on average IQ doesn't fucking mean higher levels of empathy. Like, higher levels of empathy. It completely debunks that. It completely debunks the idea that ethnic, Southeast Asians would never do that. That's only blacks, right? It's like, can you show me a majority Southeast Asian, like, neighborhood that does this type of shit? China. There you go, Steve Sailor, China. China putting Uyghurs in camps is a perfect fucking example of your empathy. Okay, what is it, fucking, whatever his fucking name is, who said, like, ethnic diversity ruins social cohesion. Like, why don't you go give that fucking thing in China, right? Because they're murdering Uyghur Muslims, they're invading, they're threatening to invade other countries, but hey, like, IQ, right? I mean, I don't want to be like a, I think at this point, Uyghur Muslims are denying science. I don't think there's a lot of acceptance of race and IQ in the Uyghur Muslim internment camp, Steve Sailor. So you may want to like educate them. Where's the bat signal for Uyghur Muslims coming out saying the Chinese are putting us in internment camps? Where's the Sailor bat signal, right? Where's like a Sailor's, excuse me, no you're not, because there aren't any blacks in China. Look, there are, like, some, but, like, you get the point. China has a high IQ of 105. Well, would you rather live in a black country? Would you rather live in Chicago?